She leaned against the hood like the car was hers, and the evening was too. The sun was low, orange bleeding into the metal, and I swear she looked like part of the light, calm, tired, and completely aware that I couldn't stop looking. "Think it'll run again?" she asked, voice low, unhurried. "It'll run," I said. "You just pushed it too hard." Her lips curved. Not a smile, more like she knew what I meant and wasn't going to let me explain. She tilted her head, studying me the way people look at something they're not sure they should touch. The car, an old silver convertible, sat between us. Its engine coughed once before giving up, and I'd been under the hood for an hour, sweat drying on my neck, grease on my hands. She'd been watching most of the time, silent, except for the small hums that told me she was still there. When I finally closed the hood, she was closer. Close enough that her perfume, something faint, like rain on wood, slipped under my skin. "You're good with your hands," she said. The words were simple, but she said them like they had edges. I laughed too quickly. "I fix things. Engines. Mostly engines." She nodded, not looking away. "You look like someone who fixes more than that." The air felt heavier after that. Not wrong, just close. The kind of closeness that makes you notice everything. The pulse in your wrist, the sound of gravel when she shifted her heel, the way she brushed her hair behind her ear, even though it didn't need brushing. "Wasn't expecting you to actually come out," I said, wiping my hands on a rag. "I said I'd bring coffee." She lifted the cup she'd set on the hood earlier. "You didn't drink it." "It got cold," I said. Her eyes flicked toward the cup, then back to me. "You could warm it up. Or I could make another one." I should have said no. She didn't know me anything, and I wasn't sure I trusted my voice. But she was already moving, the faint clack of her heels against the concrete mixing with the hum of the streetlights coming on. Inside her garage, it smelled like old leather and oil. A single bulb hung low, giving everything that kind of half-light that makes faces softer, harder to read. She turned, leaning against the counter. "You always this quiet?" she asked. "Usually," I said. "Depends who's asking." She let that sit for a moment. Then, "You make people nervous." "I think that's you," I said before I could stop myself. That got her attention. She looked up sharply, like the words had surprised her too. The silence after was almost physical, a stretch of space neither of us moved through. Finally, she stepped forward, slow. "You shouldn't say things like that." "Why not?" Her eyes searched mine. "Because some people might start to believe you mean them." She was close enough now that I could see the small scar near her collarbone, the way her breath moved the chain she wore. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. The bulb flickered, catching her face in pieces, her eyes, her mouth, the faint line between her brows when she hesitated. She reached out, her fingers almost grazing mine, but stopped. Just enough distance to keep it from being a touch. Then came the sound, a car door outside slamming. Both of us turned. Her expression changed first, a quick pull of composure, like she'd practiced it. "You should go," she said softly. Her voice didn't match the words. And for a moment, neither did I. She called 2 days later. Said the car wouldn't start again, though she sounded more amused than annoyed. I drove over before I could talk myself out of it. When I pulled into the driveway, she was already outside, jacket half-zipped, hair caught in the wind. Something about her looked different, less polished, maybe more real. "I swear, it's not me," she said as I walked up. "The car just likes attention." "Could be the wiring," I said, though I wasn't sure if I meant the car or her. She laughed, that low, unhurried sound again, and handed me the keys. Our fingers touched. Just a second, but it was enough to feel the hesitation in both of us. Inside the garage, the smell of metal and coffee mixed again. She sat on the workbench this time, watching me. The way her eyes followed my hands made it hard to focus. "You do this for a living?" she asked. "Mostly. Part-time work. The rest's classes, late shifts. College. Community. Trying to save up for something better." She nodded slowly, her expression unreadable. "You're young," she said, not as an insult, more like a fact she was trying to get comfortable with. "You say that like it's a problem." "It can be," she murmured. "People notice. They talk." I looked up from the hood. "You care what they say?" She gave a small, dry smile. "I've spent half my life pretending I don't. Gets harder the older you get." That stuck. There was something in her tone, not bitterness exactly, but where. Like someone who'd been admired once, and then quietly forgotten. "What about you?" she asked. "Someone waiting for you?" "No," I said. "Not really my thing. Commitment. Being let down." She didn't respond right away. Her eyes flicked to the floor, then to me. Yeah, she said quietly. That doesn't stop, by the way. For a moment, the space between us changed, heavier, quieter. I wiped my hands, stepped closer without thinking. Her gaze met mine, steady but uncertain. She didn't step back. I could see every small detail. The fine lines near her eyes, the faint pink on her lips, the way she was trying not to breathe too deeply. You shouldn't look at me like that, she said finally. How am I looking at you? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached over, her hand resting lightly on my shoulder, steady, warm, and deliberate. Her thumb brushed a streak of grease near my collarbone. You missed a spot, she said. Her touch lingered. Not by mistake. Not long enough to be safe, either. Fixed it, I whispered. Her eyes lifted, something uncertain behind them. Did you? Neither of us moved. The air hummed with all the things we weren't saying. Her hand stayed there a second longer, then slid away, slow enough that my skin remembered it after. Outside, a wind picked up, scattering leaves across the concrete. She looked toward the open garage door, then back at me. Leave the car, she said softly. Stay for coffee this time. I didn't answer, just nodded once. And when she turned toward the kitchen, I followed, already knowing I wouldn't stop this, even if I should. The third time I saw her, it wasn't planned. I'd been walking past the cafe near campus, the one with the big windows and the slow jazz that always felt too deliberate, and there she was sitting by herself. Reading glasses on, coffee in hand, tapping her thumb against the cup like she was trying to quiet her thoughts. She noticed me before I could decide whether to walk in or not. That small, knowing smile again, the one that said she'd already made the choice for both of us. Didn't know this was your side of town, she said when I joined her. Didn't know I had sides, I replied. Her laugh came easy this time. Maybe too easy. Sit. Unless you're late for something. I wasn't. Or maybe I was, just not the kind of thing you can be on time for. We talked about nothing for a while. Coffee, the weather, the way people rush even when they don't have to. But underneath it all, there was that rhythm again. Pauses that lasted a second too long. Glances that landed and didn't leave. At one point, her knee brushed mine under the table. She didn't move it away. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her expression tightened. Quick, but I caught it. She flipped the phone face down. Everything okay? I asked. Just a friend, she said too quickly. Then softer. He's not really a friend anymore. I didn't push. But something in her tone told me that whoever he was, he still occupied space she hadn't cleared out yet. She leaned back, exhaling. You ever get tired of being careful? All the time, I said. Our eyes met again. That same charged silence, like gravity had opinions. I shouldn't, she began, then stopped. Her fingers toyed with the edge of her napkin. You make it hard to keep pretending I don't notice things. What things? That you look at me like, she trailed off, shaking her head, half smiling. Never mind. Outside, rain started. A slow drizzle that made the window blur. The sound wrapped around us, soft but constant, like a curtain closing. She reached for her coat, her hand brushing mine on the table. Neither of us pulled away. The small contact felt louder than the rain, like a note that didn't belong in the song but stayed anyway. The doorbell jingled then, the sharp sound of someone coming in. A man in his 50s, gray suit, holding a phone. He looked around, scanning the room. Her whole body changed. Shoulders straightened, eyes dropped. Don't look, she whispered, too late. He spotted her. Hey, he said, walking over. Didn't think I'd see you here. Her smile was polite, practiced. Just catching up, she said quickly, gesturing toward me. He's helping me with the car. I nodded, said nothing. The man gave a half smile that didn't reach his eyes, then excused himself to grab coffee. The second he turned, her hand found my arm under the table. A small, trembling grip that lasted only long enough to say everything she couldn't. When he left, neither of us spoke for a while. The silence was thick, full of everything that almost broke through. Finally, she stood. Walk me to my car? Outside, the rain had picked up. She stopped under the awning, close enough that her breath fogged against my neck when she spoke. About earlier, she said. You should probably forget it. I won't, I said. Her eyes closed for half a second, like she wanted to believe that was a mistake and couldn't. When she opened them, she looked straight at me. Then the sound of thunder cut between us, sharp and quick, and before either of us could move closer, she stepped back. But her hand brushed mine as she did, slow, deliberate, like she wanted to make sure I'd still feel it after she walked away. And I did. I didn't see her for a week. Then, just after midnight, she called. Her voice was quiet, rough around the edges. The car's fine, she said. I'm not. By the time I got there, rain was still clinging to the pavement, and the porch light threw a pale glow across her face. She opened the door before I could knock. I shouldn't have called, she murmured, but she didn't close it. I stepped inside anyway. You did. Her house smelled faintly of wine and rain. A record played somewhere in the back, slow jazz, low and heavy. She stood near the kitchen counter, arms folded like she was holding herself still. You ever get tired of doing the right thing? She asked. Depends who it's right for. She almost smiled. You're too young to talk like that. And you keep saying that like it matters. That shut her up. She turned away, running a hand through her hair. Her reflection in the window looked tired, almost fragile. I told myself I wouldn't cross lines again, she said softly. Not after, her voice thinned. He made it easy to forget who I was. Who? She shook her head. Doesn't matter. He's gone. Just left a few ghosts behind. The record popped. The air between us tightened. I can leave, I said. She turned, eyes sharp. Do you want to? No. The silence after that was its own kind of confession. She moved closer. Not all at once, just a few careful steps. I could feel the heat of her before she even touched me. Her hand lifted, hesitated, then brushed my jaw, light as breath. You shouldn't look at me like that, she whispered again. It makes it hard to breathe. Her thumb traced the edge of my mouth, stopping just short of danger. Then don't breathe, I said before I could think better of it. Something broke in her composure, not loudly, but enough. Her eyes flicked to my lips, then back to my eyes, searching for the part of me that might still pull away. But I didn't. She leaned in, slow enough for both of us to change our minds. The world felt smaller, the sound of the record, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the warmth of her fingers sliding into my hair. Then her phone buzzed on the counter, sharp, jarring, too real. She froze, forehead still inches from mine. The name lit up the screen. Mark. Her breath hitched. It's no one, she said quickly, stepping back. Too quickly. But the distance only made it worse. Her pulse was visible at her neck, fast and unsteady. You don't have to explain, I said. She looked at me, eyes glassy, lips parted like she wanted to say something and couldn't. I do, she said finally. Because once I stop pretending, I don't think I'll be able to stop. The record crackled. My hand found her wrist, gentle but sure. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stared back, waiting. Then a single knock at the door. We both turned, hearts caught mid-beat. Neither of us spoke. The song ended. The silence that followed felt like the edge of something that couldn't be taken back. The knock didn't stop. 3 sharp hits against the door, each one pulling us farther from whatever had almost happened. She didn't move at first. Then quietly, stay here. Her voice carried something I hadn't heard before, not fear exactly, but recognition. Like she already knew who it was. Through the thin walls, I heard the muffled sound of a man's voice. Familiar. The one from the cafe. Elaine, it's me. We need to talk. Her whole posture changed, the softness gone, her shoulders stiff, jaw set. She cracked the door open just enough to block his view of me. Not tonight, Mark. I saw your car. You're home. Still not tonight. He didn't take the hint. His voice dropped lower. You stopped answering. I deserve to know why. You don't, she said, steady but quiet. I couldn't see his face, but I could hear the scrape of his frustration in the silence that followed. Finally, he muttered something and walked off, footsteps fading into the rain. She shut the door, pressed her palms flat against it, and just breathed. When she turned, her eyes caught mine, wide, caught between relief and regret. I should have told you, she said. Mark's not just an old friend. He's my ex. We worked together. For too long. I nodded slowly, waiting. He's not dangerous, she went on. Just someone who doesn't understand endings. Her hands trembled as she brushed hair from her face. I wanted to reach for her, but something about the moment felt like walking too close to a live wire. Were you still seeing him? I asked. No, then, softer. Not really. The words hung there, the kind that sound harmless but aren't. I took a step forward. She took one back. Her back hit the counter. Neither of us looked away. I don't lie, she said, but her eyes didn't match her voice. I didn't ask you to. You think this is simple? No. But I think you're making it harder because you're scared of what it means if it isn't. That got through. Her eyes flickered, throat tightening as if she was swallowing something heavy. You shouldn't talk to me like that, she whispered. Then tell me to leave. She didn't. I moved closer, close enough that the air shifted. The heat between us came back, sharper now, tangled with guilt, truth, something unspoken that neither of us could name. Her hands were still trembling when she reached up, resting one against my chest. "You don't understand," she said. "He's not just my past. He's my reputation. My job. My name in other people's mouths." "Then let them talk." "I can't afford to." "But you already have," I said. Her breath caught. She blinked once, slow, like the room had tilted. "You think I wanted this?" "No," I said. "But you wanted me here." For a moment, neither of us breathed. Then she pushed past me, brushing my shoulder. Too close, too deliberate. Her voice came out low, almost a whisper. "If you stay tonight, there's no going back." I turned, watching her pause at the edge of the hallway, the light painting her silhouette in amber and shadow. "I already didn't," I said. And the quiet that followed wasn't peace. It was the sound of a choice locking into place. She didn't turn on the hallway light. Just walked ahead, slow and silent, the faint shimmer of the rain outside tracing her outline. I followed, every step measured, as if the floor itself might betray us. The air in her house felt charged, warm, electric, uncertain. Somewhere, that record from before started again, a low hum threading through the quiet like memory refusing to fade. She stopped at the kitchen doorway and looked back. Her face was unreadable. Not cold, not inviting, just exposed. "You should still have time to walk away," she said softly. I think I missed that turn a while ago. Something in her face broke. A small tremor around her mouth, a confession she didn't need to say out loud. She stepped closer. So did I. The space between us dissolved. I could feel the warmth of her breath, the faint tremor of her chest as she exhaled. My hand found the edge of the counter behind her. Hers brushed my wrist, tentative, searching for balance or maybe permission. "This isn't right," she whispered, but the way her fingers curled against mine said she didn't believe it. "It doesn't have to be," I said. "It just has to be honest." She closed her eyes at that, like the word honest hurt more than right. When she opened them again, something in her had changed. The fight, the distance, gone. Only the truth was left now, bare and fragile. She reached up, her hand trembling as she brushed a strand of hair from my forehead. Her fingers lingered, tracing, memorizing. "You don't understand what you're risking," she said. "Then show me," I whispered. The moment stretched, neither of us moving, both caught in the gravity of what came next. I could hear her heartbeat, fast and uneven, matching mine. The scent of her, rain, skin, something faintly floral, filled the small space between us. She leaned in, her forehead resting against mine. "I'm scared," she said. "Me too." And then, just like that, the world went still. The record skipped, the clock ticked once. And she kissed me. It wasn't desperate or cinematic. It was slow, uncertain, heavy with everything we'd tried to hide. Her hand tightened in my shirt. Mine found the small of her back, the warmth of her body pulling me closer than words ever could. For a moment, there was no age, no rules, no names waiting outside that door. Just the sound of two people who had run out of excuses. When she finally pulled away, she didn't look at me right away. She just stood there, breathing hard, fingers still tangled in my sleeve. "This changes everything," she said quietly. "I know." She looked up then, really looked, her eyes glassy but clear. "Then promise me one thing." "What?" "Don't let this be something we regret." I nodded, unsure if it was a promise or a warning. Outside, thunder rolled again, distant this time, fading. Inside, the tension didn't fade with it. It just shifted, softer now, real. She smiled, small, tired, honest. "Then stay," she said. And for the first time, neither of us hesitated. Morning came slow. The rain had stopped sometime before dawn, leaving the air cool and clean, sunlight slipping through half-drawn curtains. Her house felt different, quieter, but not empty. The kind of quiet that comes after something true has finally been said out loud. She stood by the window, mug in hand, barefoot, wearing the same oversized sweater from the night before. Her hair was loose, her voice still soft from sleep. "You didn't leave," she said, without turning around. "You told me not to." She smiled a little at that, tracing the rim of her cup with her finger. "I don't always mean what I say. Last night you did." That made her turn. Her eyes met mine, tired, searching, but steady. For once, there wasn't any distance between what she felt and what she showed. "You keep surprising me," she said. "You make it look easy." "It's not," I said. "It's just real." She laughed quietly, shaking her head. "Real," she repeated, like she was testing the word. I forgot what that felt like. I moved closer, slow, until I could reach for her hand. She didn't pull away. Our fingers found each other naturally, no hesitation this time. Just warmth and the quiet rhythm of two people still figuring out how to breathe in the same space. Her thumb brushed against mine. "You'll regret this someday," she said, not as a warning but as a truth she'd lived before. "Maybe," I said. "But not today." That got her to smile, really smile. Not the guarded, practiced kind. The real one. The one that reached her eyes. She leaned into me, resting her head against my chest. I wrapped my arm around her, feeling the weight of her, the softness, the calm that had been missing between all the tension and almosts. For a while, neither of us spoke. The world outside moved, cars, birds, the distant sound of someone's radio. But inside, time slowed down. Finally, she whispered, "You're still young. You'll go off and live a dozen lives after this." "Maybe," I said, resting my chin on her hair. "But you'll always be part of the first one that felt real." Her breath caught, a small, quiet sound, but I felt it. She looked up, eyes glinting in the morning light, then kissed me once, soft, certain, unhurried. It wasn't the kind of kiss that starts something. It was the kind that settles it. When we pulled apart, she smiled again, and this time it stayed. "You fixed the engine," she murmured. "Guess you were right." "About what?" "That the real ride started after dark." I laughed quietly, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "Then let's see where it goes." She leaned into my touch, closing her eyes, and for the first time since I met her, she looked peaceful, like she wasn't bracing for something anymore. Outside, sunlight spilled through the trees, glinting off the silver hood of her car, the same car that brought us here. The world kept moving, but for now, neither of us needed it to. Just two people standing close, no rules left to break, no pretending left to do. And for once, that was enough. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?